What up, YouTube? This is Steven, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to sort of more or less continue from what I talked about in the last video in regards to like the black identity and who has a claim to it and who is considered black and who is not considered black. And the reason this comes up is because a YouTube user who has been very active in the comments section of a lot of my videos, he posted a question. Well, kind of like a comment mixed with a question, but pretty much a question, right? And he said it's cool for me to mention his name, so I'm going to give him a shout out. He goes by the YouTube username Selector, aka Jason Thomas. So, JT. I hope it's cool with you that I call you JT. So, JT posted in the comments section of one of my videos, and he posted the following question: would the community consider me black? So, would the black community consider him black? And I don't really know much about JT, you know, but I think ultimately, JT is here, and he has been asking a lot of questions in regards to, light-skinned men and like how they fit into the community and their treatment within the community, etc., etc. So I'm gonna, and also based on his picture, this photo next to his name, he looks like he's part of the waffle colored brother struggle, part of the beige black brotherhood, so to speak, So I don't know his, I don't know JT's background. So JT, I don't know your background. So I don't know if you are just light skinned, as in being multi-generational mix, where it's like, well, both of your parents identify as black. If so, then yes, you are definitely black. Usually when these identities come up, and these issues of identity comes up, and who has the right to claim blackness, usually light-skinned people are given a pass. The animosity usually is directed toward first generational mixed people, people who have like a black parent and a non-black parent, usually white, but not necessarily all the time white, right? So if you're just quote unquote light skinned, then yes, you are black. You're a light skinned black person. You have two parents who identify as black. And as well, I think the community would accept you as black. I don't think anyone would argue differently. You're just a lighter shade of black. Well, that's a bit of an oxymoron or a paradox, perhaps, but you're a different shade of blackness, so to speak. You're just a different variation. How about that? You're just a different variation of blackness, And I don't think that the community would have any issues really accepting that. I don't think so as a whole, as a collective. On an individual basis, perhaps, you may encounter some person who wants to challenge your identity. Me personally, at this point in my life, I've never been through that experience, but I have heard about that experience here and there. So again, as a community, I think that you will be accepted, definitely if you're light skinned. But on the chance that if you're mixed, then I still think that you'll be accepted, but some people will accept you and some people will not, because some people, especially people in the pro-black community, it's like in the pro-black community / conscious community, it's like some people go with the one drop rule, where it's like, if you have one drop of black blood in you, you're black, you know. On the other hand, some people think that if you don't have two black parents, then you're not black. Again, that's the pro-conscious, the pro-black conscious community. But as the black community, I think you will still be accepted. Look at Barack Obama, right? Look at Halle Berry, Alicia Keys, who else? Paula Patton, Boris Kojo, Shamar Moore, Lenny Kravitz, Lisa Bonet. You know, and the list goes on. The list goes on. Really, even Mariah Carey. You know, now it is a difference when it comes to people who are biracial and who do not want to be claimed as black. And I really think that is a entirely different video for another day. Like, that is a video within itself. So let me just stick to topic here. This is for the people who want to be claimed as black, who want to claim blackness. You know, I think I may end up doing a video about biracial and mixed folks who do not want to be claimed as black, in my opinion on that. All right. Okay. But back to this. So yeah, you know, the black community, as I'm giving you plenty of examples, yes, they will accept you, especially if you are exceptional. Even if you're not exceptional, they will still accept you. Part of the reason is just because they perhaps may have family members who have a similar look as you as well, for support of black causes. You know, it's power in numbers. I think that's a part of it too. And, you know, dating, you know, that's a part of it. So yeah, I think if you are light-skinned or, you know, mixed or biracial, multiracial, whatever you want to call it, you know, whatever folks are calling it these days, I think that, yeah, you are black, or you have a claim to blackness and you can be considered black. Really, a YouTube user who goes by the name of like Sensei Ashamasu, I think that's how you say her name. Her real name is Seren, but she posted a lot of videos, and she doesn't really like to go in talk about colorism though, but she did a video about colorism, and she had mentioned something to the effect of, like, it's a slippery slope when you start talking about who's black and who is not black. And I do agree with that. And she also said something to the effect of, if you're black, you're black, you know? Which basically I took as, like, if you have a claim to blackness, then you're black, you know? If you're down for black people, you have a claim to blackness, you have a look that at least has reflects blackness. And even still, even if you don't have a look that reflects blackness, if you at least have a claim to it, then yeah, I do think that you're black, you know, and I think that the community as a whole will accept you, you know. Again, as far as light-skinned people, I don't even think that's something that I really need to argue. I can argue that, you know, but I don't really think it's necessary. Mixed, biracial, multiracial. Again, I mentioned plenty of examples of black people accepting mixed people, you know. But let me flip the script right quick. Do you consider yourself black? Do you feel like blackness is your home? You know, blackness is your address. You know, that's your identity. That's what you consider yourself. That's how you identify as. You know, your interests and concerns are about black people. You know, you are triggered when you see, like, stuff that happens in the news pertaining to black people. You know, like, oh, a black man was a victim of police brutality. You feel triggered by that. You know, you feel very emotional about that. You really take that to heart. You know, for an example, you know, black issues in general, of course, you know. But that's just an example of something that I would think, if you consider yourself black, would really trigger you. And really, it should just trigger people as like just human beings. But you know how folks be. You know how that goes. So again, for me to flip the script and ask you the question, like, do you claim the black community? You know, it sounds like you want to. It sounds like you do. But that is a question that I think should be asked, because a lot of times we assume a lot of things, but you know, a lot of things, a lot of our conversations, a lot of our life is based off of assumption, right? We assume a lot. But I think this is a good question that should be asked. Like, you know, do you claim the black community? You know? But I have a feeling you do. But still, it's an interesting question that's worth asking. You know? And I guess I'll go into my personal situation again right quick, just in case some people may have not seen videos where I've mentioned it or whatever. All right. So again, my personal situation. I am light-skinned, although I have been mistaken for being like mixed, biracial, multiracial, etc. You know, I have, you know, more times than I can count on my fingers and toes, I've been asked about my race, ethnicity, background, heritage, what have you, right? You know, you know, when I was a kid and I was with my parents out in public, you know, my parents were clocked as an interracial couple, and I more or less was clocked as an, you know, biracial mixed race kid, even though that's not true. You know, both of my parents do identify as black. One's brown skin, my mom. One is light skin, white passing, a la Vin Diesel, Mariah Carey, my dad. So for me, I was never really given an identity to identify with other than blackness, as well as raised in a black community, like a black neighborhood, went to a majority black school, you know, a black church. When I went to visit my dad's side of the family, they were black people. You know, despite how they looked, they identified as black. So, and that's important because that means that you all more or less are on the same page when it comes to issues and, you know, racism and things like that. Again, this is my personal experience. You know, I wasn't really conscious. I really don't think I was really that conscious of my skin tone until maybe about middle school, maybe about the 8th grade. At one point, like I've received questions about like if I'm mixed, like before this happened, but this is when it kind of came to a head, when it just seemed like they like a lot of people kept asking me this question. You know, at one point it just seemed like the whole damn class asked the damn question. It really did. You know, like, what are you? You know, what are you mixed with? What do you consider yourself? Et cetera, right? And I think I had a conversation, I guess, with my mom about it, and then I think had a conversation with my sister about it. Then I had a conversation with my, I think, grandparents about it as well, I think. So yeah, that was one part of my experience. But another part of my experience was, I guess, or maybe wasn't in this case, was I don't think anyone ever said that when I said that I was black, no one, I don't think ever really said like, no, you're not black. Like, what? No, you're not black. Like, no one has no one has ever said that. Even being clocked as a mixed race person, you know, before I really like elaborate and go into depth about things, you know, even then, no one has really said black people, you know. No black person has ever said that to me, you know. Again, for me, the most I've experienced was more so like maybe levels, you know, like, oh, you know, you're not as black as I am, but you're black, but you're not as black as I am, which again is an argument, you know, that's a valid argument. That can be proven with like genetics, at least, you know, as far as like biology is concerned, you know. um, but overall, I feel like I was, you know, anytime I interacted with a black person, there may have been some skepticism, not skepticism, but some a question about, you know, what am I? But once I told them, like, no one ever really went crazy about it or like said, no, you're not. Like, oh, really? No. Like, oh, okay. Because I think I have a look that, you know, while it is, especially when I like have like hair a certain way. Like I think here, this particular look that I have right now, I think it kind of gives more so like a black look. But sometimes when my hair is cut low, um, I can kind of look ambiguous, as well as if I shave off my facial hair, that adds to my ambiguity. Like I do kind of know how to play with my look a little bit to make it look a certain way. It can, you know, kind of like add to my ethnic look or take away from my ethnic look. And I definitely have done that when it came to like you know, going in and searching for jobs and doing interviews. I've kind of like played with my look a little bit to make it look a little bit less ethnic at times. However, I have gone in with like more or less like a mini fro into interviews too, a couple of times, just because I didn't have the money to get a haircut at the time. Really broke, you know, broke waffle colored Negro struggles, you know. But yeah. But before I end this video, I think ultimately this situation that we're in, as far as like, oh, who's black and who's not black, is because of like the one drop rule. At one point, like, there were two separate categories. You know, you had the mulatto category for people who were mixed race, regardless of first generational or multi-generational, and then you had like Negro, you know, or African, or I'm not sure. I think it was probably called Negro or colored. Well, colored came later, but I guess Negro. All right. So I think that's where it came from, you know, and I think we still have the remnants of that. Even though that rule and that law is off the books, it's still in effect. And I think as well, the older generation especially, the newer generation not so much, because some newer generations are not identifying as black and some people are not accepting the newer generation identifying as black. So yeah, but for me personally, I guess my family's a bit old school when it comes to that. I think they may go by that, you know, one drop rule perhaps. I guess my mom went by it too, you know. As well, my mom did have like a grandfather, like her grandfather, my great grandfather, who was white passing. And his wife was like I think dark skin, I believe. You know, and I think that may have been a part of maybe why she accepted my dad as black, because she was exposed to that within her own family, so it wasn't something that was totally out of the ordinary, perhaps. And as well, I could probably go into a whole spiel about I guess my great grandparents on my mom's side and their experience as being clocked by an interracial couple, but let me bring this video to a close. Sorry about that. It's not as long as this usually is, right? It's a little low. So thanks a lot for watching. Comment, rate, subscribe. Adios and goodbye for now. I hope I answered your question, JT. I hope you got that. Yeah, you black. All right. You're just a waffle color Negro, you know. You're just a beige Negro. All right. You still black. You still got to claim the blackness. If you want to be black, you can be black, you know.